Energy sources in developing countries. 1.6 billion people, or about a quarter of the world's population, live without electricity. Developing countries, mostly sub-Saharan Africa and some countries in the Middle East, have access to some electricity from diesel generators, but there are many problems with this source of energy. The biggest of these problems is the diesel that they use is typically cheaper, dirty diesel, and its exhaust is harmful to the environment. Another problem is that they do not cover a large area. An environmentally cleaner alternative to these generators is renewable energy, such as solar panels or wind turbines. These are also much better for the country economically, because it does not need to pay for the fuel to power such a small area. Renewables can also be hooked to large batteries, which store energy for long periods of time if it is not sunny or the wind is not blowing. Developing countries' current energy sources are expensive and dirty, and the best possible solution is to power those countries with renewable energy. Until recently, people in developing countries have needed to live with either no electricity or poor quality electricity from a poor source. Most of the time, this source is a diesel generator linked to a small power grid. However, there are problems with this source of energy. One problem is that the diesel is not clean and is harmful to the environment. The diesel that poor countries buy for their power grids is typically cheap, poor quality, adulterated diesel that releases harmful chemicals like sulfur oxide derivatives into the air. Diesel can also be used for unlawful practices, like a third party raising the price of diesel to sell to poor communities who have no alternative energy source. The article, How a Key Energy Technology Can Help Developing Countries by Riccardo Politi, discusses alternative sources of energy in developing countries. In this clip, Politi says, poor quality and adulterated diesel is highly polluting and linked to major health impacts across the continent. The selling of diesel is often tied with organized crime. Consumers can pay even higher prices for fuel in poor communities where there is little monitoring. There is a solution for this problem. Costs of good renewable energy sources like solar power or wind power are rapidly falling. The cost per watt of solar panels decreased by more than 60% from 2008 to 2018. One issue with these renewable sources of power is that they can only provide energy in certain conditions. For example, a wind farm can only provide power if the wind is blowing, or a solar farm can only provide solar power if the sun is shining. Battery capabilities have been widely expanding in the last few years so they can store more energy and charge faster. This means that there is a surplus of power on a sunny day or windy day, then it can be stored in large batteries to use on a cloudy or windless day, and there would otherwise be no power. Assessing the value of battery energy storage in future power grids by Catherine Liu of the MIT Energy Initiative discusses an experiment on solar power stored in batteries done by Durik Malapragada, also of MIT. This article says battery storage helps make better use of electricity system assets, including wind and solar farms, natural gas power plants, and transmission lines. The choice that these developing nations make regarding their energy sources influence us all in many ways. One way is environmentally. Global warming is a very serious issue, and humanity needs to act upon it fast. If the problem of global warming is ignored, then it could considerably affect people decades to come as well as future generations. If developing countries use sophisticated power grids powered by coal and diesel, then that will just be even more pollution going into Earth's atmosphere. Another reason why this is important is people in these developing countries will be more independent because they will not need to buy fuel for their diesel generators and will not need to be taken advantage of with dirty fuel with illegally raised prices. There are people that argue against the sole use of green energy. Lauren Steffi's article, Who Pays for Green Dreams, argues that renewable energy needs fossil fuels or other energy sources to support green energy because people cannot get power from renewable energy sources all the time. Steffi argues in this paper that all of Germany's investment in offshore wind and solar has resulted in an increase in intermittent power sources. The country's conventional utilities are still expected to find a way to keep the lights on when the wind does not blow. This is the current solution for days that the sun does not shine or the wind doesn't blow. But again, battery technology has massively advanced in recent years, and excess renewable energy can be stored on large battery stacks to be used on days that renewable energy cannot generate. Another argument that contradicts the thesis is the article Diesel Generators in Developing Countries, written by the website Generator Source. In this article, it says, the diesel generators are without question the most affordable option on an initial capital cost basis when compared to other alternatives like wind and solar energy. For developing countries that are already on very limited budgets, this is why diesel generators remain the top choice for prime and backup electric power generation. They go on to say, running costs of diesel generators include costs of operation and maintenance, and of course diesel fuel. In terms of operational expenses, diesel generators are comparable to renewable technologies. These statements are contradicted by Poli's article. Battery storage systems are delivering reliable power at roughly a third of the cost of diesel generators and have better supply chain resilience. Currently, the major source of energy for some developing nations comes from diesel generators which harm the environment and are costly to the nation itself. A solution to this problem is to use renewable energy, which doesn't harm the environment and costs less than diesel generators. Arguments against this are that people cannot get electricity on non-windy or non-sunny days, and that the diesel generators are less expensive than renewable energy. But surplus power can be used to charge batteries to use at times where the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing, and the diesel generators are simply more expensive to use than renewable energy. Everybody deserves a source of energy, and everyone who is born in future generations deserves a clean, stable climate to live in, and renewable energy is the solution to all of these issues.